here today to talk to you about bionics and how they previously existed in science fiction but are today a reality. 2 years ago, I co-founded a robotics company called Open Bionics. And this company was built out of a love of making. So everyone in this room today is a maker. You all make stuff, you all produce stuff all the time. And it was that love of making and creating that really drove us to start a company and build products. So the other thing that really propelled Open Bionics was a love of making and a love of sharing our work. So we share our work online. We upload videos to YouTube all the time, and we got this amazing community around us. So I would really encourage all of you to share what you make online, and you never know, you might start a company out of it. So I make artificial limbs for amputees. There are millions of amputees around the world. There's over 2 million upper limb amputees. And there are lots of problems with bionics. This is an amazing technology. It's truly life-changing. These are robotic tools that can help people in their everyday life. But they're far too expensive, so very few people get to actually use them. So what we set out to do was replicate the very advanced bionic technology, but find a way to radically reduce the cost. We've managed to make bionic hands 20 times more affordable by taking advantage of new technologies such as 3D scanning and 3D printing. So at the moment, if one of you were to lose your hand, you would go to a hospital, you would have a plaster cast taken, and then you would be offered a prosthetic through the NHS. And that would be either a hook or a cosmetic hand that has no functionality. So we are really inspired by nature, and we want to mimic the functionality of a human hand. So the human hand is super amazing. We don't think about it because we use our hands all the time. But they're so strong, and you can move your fingers incredibly quickly, and you have a sense of touch, and your hand tells you so much about the world. So this type of robotics is called biomimetic robotics. We're inspired by nature, and we're trying to replicate anatomy. So once we produced our first 3D printed bionic hand, we decided that we wanted more people around the world to have access to this technology. It wasn't enough for us that we made it really affordable for people in Western countries. We wanted anyone, anywhere to be able to access this technology and build upon it. So this is a 3D printed wrench, and this was the first 3D file sent to space. So this existed as a 3D file sent to space, and then it was 3D printed in space. So it's a tool made somewhere completely else in the world, but just existed as a 3D file. Here it is actually working. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to use this idea of sharing files, 3D files, and we uploaded all of our designs, our electronics, our mechanical designs, and our software to websites like Thingiverse and Instructables. So we had the first person in the world to download a bionic limb from the internet and 3D print it at home with his friend. And the really cool thing about this was that we didn't even know him. This is Taylor. He lost his limbs in Afghanistan. He actually just sent us a picture and some videos afterwards and said, oh, by the way, I was looking at prosthetic limbs, and I found your files, and I decided to build it at home, which was mind-blowing. I really love that we can send information and send design files now anywhere in the world, and anyone can access them and download them, and sometimes we don't even hear about it. But we know that hundreds of people have actually used these limbs to improve prosthetics. So the idea is, when you're open source, you get to share your work. You open your work to hundreds of other, well, thousands, millions of other people who also want to improve the technology. And so you have lots of people building on your work and then sharing their work. And so you advance the technology much faster than we would have if it was just us four engineers in a robotics lab. The other really cool thing that we're doing, and is only really acceptable because it's 2016, is that we're completely redefining what a bionic limb can look like. When you're born without a hand or you lose a hand, who's to say what your replacement hand should look like? It should be an expression of yourself. You wear it every day. It's a piece of wearable technology. It's like a piece of clothing. So traditionally, prosthetic hands were made to look realistic. You were told that you should probably try to fit in because you have a disability. What we want to do is we want to completely change that, and we want to turn children who have limb differences into bionic superheroes. So who here likes Iron Man? Put your hand up if you like Iron Man. Yeah, it's one of my faves. So how cool would it be if you lost a hand growing up, or if you're born without a hand, and then one day you get to go to school, hang out in the playground, and be wearing Iron Man's actual hand? This is the kind of things that we spend our time thinking about. So we teamed up with Disney and decided to make the first Marvel Iron Man bionic hand for kids with limb differences. Then we took it a step further and decided to make the Frozen hand. And then we were like really on a roll, so we decided, why not make a lightsaber bionic hand from Star Wars? And all of these designs are super incredible and have come from ILM X Labs, who we've been working with. The really cool thing about these designs is that they're not just pretty renders. They're actually real hands that people can wear. So this is Logan, Jedi Logan. He was born without a hand. And because bionic hands are so expensive, they actually just don't make them for children because they grow so quickly. No one would be able to afford to have one updated 3 times a year. But 3D printing, you can very quickly and very cheaply update and grow your hand as you grow. So he got to try all of these new different grips and had an amazing control over his fingers, something that he'd never had before. And the other really cool thing about this experience was that his lightsaber could change colors. This is one of the things that he really enjoyed. So at the moment, it's in Luke Skywalker mode. It can turn green, and it can be in Yoda mode. And then it can go purple and be in Mace Windu. So he gets to play characters with his arms. And also, if he shakes his arm when he's play fighting, it will flash just like a lightsaber would. So we're trying to be really playful with what prosthetics can be and what they can do. So Logan was trying to force choke his sister, but it's okay, he didn't mean it. And then this is Sydney, another girl who was born without a hand. And you can see her here using 2 fingers to really delicately pick up a little, I think that's duct tape or something, and put it over a little miniature version of herself. And here she is just comparing hands with her friend. And so what these prosthetics do, they enable children to do more of the activities that their peers can do, but they also help children to feel really empowered about what makes them different, what makes them unique. It's a celebration rather than a medical, clinical tool. So we were really happy that we got to turn these 2 kids into the first bionic superheroes. But we're not just working with Disney, and it's not just Disney movies. We make bionic limbs from the world of video games. So this is the Adam Jensen arm. Does anyone know that character? Yeah, okay, cool. So this is a video game where the characters are augmented and they choose to upgrade their limbs. So one day in the future, it may be that robotic limbs will replace human limbs because they are stronger or faster and they have extra capabilities and functionalities. So the other arm we did was the Titan arm. The cool thing about these 2 arms is that they are character arms inside a video game. Previously, completely fiction, but then we brought them to life and had people wear them. So this is Dan and Catherine, both, again, born without hands. And Catherine had a really hard time at school, and having her prosthetic fitted when she was little, she had a really traumatic time. She didn't like showing her limb. She used to hide it. And it was actually only through working with us and getting to wear the Titan arm that she started feeling really empowered about her body, and she wanted to show off her limb difference. And she suddenly was really confident to talk about what made her different, and she wanted people to play with the technology. So this is how we make the device. We use 3D scanning. So the plaster cast method can take up to 3 months to deliver a prosthetic to someone. We've built completely customized and advanced bionics in just 4 days. So this technology is hugely changing the prosthetics industry, and it's really improving the clinical experience for the people who go through. And this is Tilly. Tilly is a gamer and was one of our first ever DSX pioneers. So we gave her the Adam Johnson arm, the very first prototype we made, and this video just gives you an idea about how fast and how quickly she learned how to use it. I took this video on my smartphone. It was the first time she ever wore it.
Just try not to break anything or knock anything over. Not the water.
She's got a good arm. And here you can see how Tilly has full control over the fingers, and she can also choose how quickly to close them.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's good.
So she moves her thumb first, and then slowly, because it's a weird shape, chooses to close the fingers. We're super lucky because Tilly's here today, so we have a bionic girl in the audience, and we want to get her up. Come on up, Tilly. Quick high five, Tilly. Right, so Tilly, are you happy to talk to us about your bionic arm?
Yes.
Cool. So do you want to explain to the audience why you have a bionic arm and how you lost your limbs?
When I was 15 months old, I got meningitis septicemia, and it's an illness where the septicemia is like a form of poison in the blood, and then it makes all your limbs go all hard and black and all scabbed over and everything. It's not nice. And then they gave us like 0% chance of survival. They told my mum that I was surely gonna die, and there was literally no chance that I would be able to live. But I lived. I don't know how. And then, but they had to get rid of my hand, otherwise I would have died.
Mm-hmm. So do you remember the first time that you got to use a prosthetic, or what it was like?
I don't remember it, but I still have it, I think. I know what it looks like. It was basically like a puppet hand. It only had 3 fingers, and it was made of metal, but my mum thought it was more of a weapon than a hand, because it only had 3 fingers and made of metal, and I'd go into nursery and I could use it to probably really hurt someone. But I'm a good girl, so I didn't do that.
So what do you like about this arm compared to the prosthetics that you've tried in the past and when you're growing up?
This is the first hand that I can move all the fingers, because I used to have a mild electric one when I worked with Touch Bionics, but they would just open and close.
Can you show us some of the things that you can do with it?
I can do thumbs up, do an okay sign. I can do a fully grip close, and then a finger roll.
And then what happens when you change grip?
I work it by closing your hand, squeezing, and then that's how you close it, like a human hand. Then I tense it to open it. Then if I tense a bit more, I feel a vibration inside of the hand, and that means that I've changed grip, and then next time I close, it's in a different pose.
That was like an expert explanation of how this device works. I'm so proud of you, well done. Yeah. Well done, Tilly. So inside Tilly's arm, there are sensors on her skin, and these are called EMG sensors, and they're picking up Tilly's muscle activity. So every time she squeezes her arm, she can choose to open or close the hand. And then if she squeezes harder or lighter, she can choose how slowly or quickly to close the hand. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. We're going to be around if you want to say hi.
Thank you.